Peace, diehards. What's up? It's your boy Eru, host of the Knicks podcast. We're going to be talking about Frank Ntilikina. They just had a game against Spain. They actually lost. We'll get into that, man. but I got a special guest. I got Andy here. But before we get into that, let's do the intro properly. The Knicks podcast. Let's go. Let me get this out of here. What's up, Andy?
Yo, salute to you, Eru. Salute to the fans. Happy to be on and back with you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning over there? You crazy bastard.
It's 11 p.m. So I hope you're gonna keep it short.
Yeah. Well, you know, like I told you, like when you came on earlier, it's just I kind of was gonna go on a rant, but you're like the European expert, so rather than me just shooting from the hip like pow 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 pow, might as well just hold the bullets and just let an expert speak on it, man. But but before we get into it, I guess I'll throw the highlights there, the Frank highlights. So what just impressions about his game, because I didn't get a chance to see the game. I saw the other all the other Olympic exhibition games. For some reason, this France game, it just wasn't that's the wrong video. That's us. Oh yeah. Let me get that out of here.
Yeah, listen. First of all, that was the second game.
Right.
They had Spain versus France played already 2 games. Both Spain has won, and in both Frank was scoring in double digits. If I'm correct, the first game he had 11 points, and in the last one he had 13. He was shooting really efficiently. I'm not sure that why they're not putting out box scores of those games. I'm guessing that this exhibition games, but I think they had someone around there counting the points, right? So I'm not sure why they didn't have the exhibition thing, the box score. On display we saw Frank trying to jam it on Willie Hernangomez. And that was a foul, but I was surprised that Frank was attacking the rim that hard.
Yeah, that was like the first play, right?
Yeah, that was basically that. Yeah, and listen, Frank didn't start any of these 2 games. Andrew obviously was the starter. Andrew plays. He's a really small guard. He's like those JJ Barea type guard. He's not, scoring great and stuff like that, but he was a starting point guard in one of the, teams in Russia which played in the EuroLeagues and stuff like that. So he had consistent minutes on the court throughout the season. That's probably why, the coach of the French national team is starting him at this point. If he will, start Frank, we're gonna see on the Olympic games. Since it's the exhibition games, he didn't even start Rudy Gobert in one of these games, and we know that he's definitely gonna be a starter, right? Yeah. So I think he's still looking for the rotations, because this squad compared to the last national team that Frank was on 2 years ago or 3 even years ago, has a couple of familiar faces, but also 2 or 3 guys that were never on the national team. So also going to the back to the highlights, which we're watching now. What I wanted to point out is not even the aggression, him making the shots and stuff like that. Look at the score. The game is really close. He isn't afraid to take shots, when they're down a bucket or it's tied, and he's taking that shot. He's not passing up like he would do basically with the Knicks. He's not afraid. The confidence is way different on the French national team. And I always attributed it to him playing really more freely, and like Raw Hebrew said, he's now looking over his shoulder that someone's going to take his minutes. A national team has only one goal, is to win. On the Knicks teams that he was on from his rookie days, I'm not sure that the culture and the teamwork and stuff was purely just for the good of the basketball and for the players. I think they were trying to players that were trying to get the starting minutes get playing time over teammates. And I understand that internal competition is really good for the team, but I think it might have been a little bit too much for Frank not to handle. Just as him as a new guy to the culture, to the States, to the NBA. No, he might have been a little bit lost there. And when you start on the wrong foot, sometimes that goes with you for a long way.
It's beautiful, man. I see the sympathy. I can hear the nice tone and whatever. But I'm just not one of those guys that don't have sympathy for a dude like this. My thing is that he played professional for a few years, playing with grown people and whatever. So to me, it just comes down to just maturity. He just not mature enough to be in this situation. Like you alluded to playing in France, it is one thing. He's playing at home. Over here, he's playing. He has to have a passport, visa, whatever he needs. There's a whole bunch of other things that's going on just for him to get on an NBA basketball court. So that's a lot of stress within itself. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes down to it, it's just a game. So like you're looking over your shoulder for someone to take your minutes. I really don't know about that because like you mentioned, there's a guy right now that's starting over Frank, so he doesn't have to look over his shoulder. He has to look over someone else's shoulder to try to get in the starting spot because somebody else is there. So there's in basketball and sports in general, you're just gonna always have somebody to fight against, somebody to prove. You gotta prove to this coach, you gotta prove to that coach. New system. The French national team is playing different than the way the Knicks are gonna play. So there's always going to be some kind of a barrier that's going to prevent you from doing well, in your particular sport, whether it's basketball, whatever it is. But it's as far as the nation. Frank is playing for France. It's more comfortable for him or whatever. But this is Knicks nation. You're playing for the Knicks. You're playing for the orange and blue and stuff like that. So it's a whole nother continent within itself. So if you want to play, like if he wants to start for France, he's putting in the work, doing what he has to do that. But all these years playing for the Knicks, because it hasn't been just one. It's been 4 years now. Regardless of the coaches and whatever else you could think of, it's still the ball is in his hands to prove that he's actually worthy of being in the NBA. So.
Yeah, but I also said this on NBK years back, even. It's like when a young kid comes to the playground and starts to ball with grown men. It's hard for those grown guys and probably better players, those vets on the court, to respect from day one. And a young guy from another country that they didn't know how, they didn't have any expectations of him, probably. And, I understand that we had a let's call it superstar caliber player and, just at least, in their ego and their head. And there was like, listen, neither Carmelo Anthony or KP was going to I'm going to listen to Frank because Frank is going to lead us. That was never the case. Right. And, I think the point guard position is also one of the worst to try to adapt in the NBA. So this is something new for him. And if he came out, for example, quickly and blew the team out of the gates, listen, I'm off the bench, I'm going to score 17, 15, whatever in a couple of games, I think his whole career would be something else. But just thinking to put someone other in this situation, you think if, for example, if we get a guy like State loves him, shout out to State, like Colin Sexton. You think if Colin Sexton would be playing for the Knicks as a starting point guard, would Julius Randle respect him that much that he would be, listen, okay, you're going to be my point guard, I'm going to play however you want to play? Or it's going to be I understand that if we had CP3, that would be the case, right? But if it's going to be a younger guy than Julius, I don't think Julius is going to be I know he's a team player, right? But I'm not sure that he's going to be listen, okay, you're the starting point guard for me now. I'm going to roll with you or whatever you call, do the play calling. If the coach does it, whatever, the ball is in your hands. I don't think he has that much of a cachet to play with the guy like Julius the way that he wants. And I think any young guy is going to have a problem to make those all-star players adapt to them, not only being younger players, but with less experience and those things. I think that's a huge factor that many fans even don't want to think about.
I get what you're saying, but it also has to do with style of play too. The Knicks don't run a traditional style. We kind of run triangle, basically.
Yeah.
So
And plenty of ISO, well, as
yeah,
we saw, Julius was having the ball and trying to do everything for the Knicks. So
right. So in return, so like when that ball comes back around, a lot of times, Alfred was that guy that was isolated that needed to make a shot, especially in the beginning of the year. He was getting 20-point games every once in a while, so that worked. But then when he couldn't score, when he couldn't get to the basket, the Knicks were like treading in water. So if this guy Colin Sexton was to be put in that position, the same way that Alfred was, it would be a totally different ball game. If we run the same offense, but chances are Tom Thibodeau's not going to have Colin Sexton doing point guard heavy stuff.
yeah, but that's the role of a point guard. For me, if you get a point guard, and it's the other way around as well. But for me, it's if you get a point guard, you're expecting him to play the point guard position. When you have such a point guard like Alfred was, listen, you gotta have a small guy to bring up the ball of the court, right? But he's gonna pass it up and he's gonna run to the corner like Frank does and like Peyton did, right? But I don't think and it's also a great season for Julius because he had the ball so much in his hands. It's going to be totally different if we get an all-star caliber point guard or even a point guard that's going to be able to carry it and create for the players. Julius will not have the ball in his hands for so many possessions. He won't have the assist numbers like he had last season. And, I think his game is going to drop off if we are going to get a good point guard. Because if we're going to get one of those young guys, I think it's still, shaky. And if we're going to lose a game or two, we're going to revert to the playing style from last season just to get a W. But, in the long run, I think we really, need to have a great point guard on this Knicks roster to go ahead and be a steady team in the Eastern Conference.
Well, like you're talking about from like a leadership standpoint, though.
Yeah, because, I don't think Julius is the man that can lead this team to be the number one option, not only scoring wise but also playmaking wise and stuff, and that showed really in the playoffs, as we all saw.
Yeah, absolutely. But like leadership as far as point guards that are available, the only player is CP3 that's available with that floor general, the guy with the IQ that's on that we can actually sign straight up.
Yeah, but we could say that, but I think even a guy like a Mike Conley, a vet point guard, if you could probably try to pencil in even Derrick Rose as a starting point guard, and he would have that cachet and that experience that Julius could be like, okay, listen, D Rose, you're the guy here now as my point guard. I'm gonna accept that and rely on you. But I don't think there's many point guards that these all-star players are going to be like, cool, I'm cool with you at a point guard and you're going to be doing this stuff for me. I still think any guy drafted this year, those guys on rookie scale contracts, I don't think they're gonna Julius is going to be cool with them running the floor like they want it to be run. I think it's still going to be, okay, listen, dribble up the ball, pass it to me, I'm going to play.
Yeah. Cachet is probably like the best word you said.
The best word, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say. Let's say like with well, you mentioned Mike Conley. I just don't like Mike Conley.
Yeah, me too. Just I was just thinking because he was a borderline all-star basically last couple of years, right? He's a vet. He got the money, and I think he had at least his skill set is way better than whatever point guard we had the last decade or even two as a Knick, right? So he's not the perfect point guard that I would wish the Knicks to get, but for a fair price, I think he's way better than Elfrid Payton.
Yeah. Well, his personality to me is like if you want a leader, he's like Derrick Rose is kind of like a chill leader, but sometimes you see Derrick Rose getting animated, pulling guys together. Say, listen, man, you see him doing that. Mike Conley, he doesn't really have that personality to do that.
Yeah, he's like a totally different type of leader, right? D Rose, he's like that silent guy that, whenever it's really going bad, he's gonna step up and say a word or two, but he's rather trying to lead by example than just try to get these guys pumped. Remember the foul when Randle fouled someone? I don't know, remember who it was. For like a retaliation foul after the Reggie Bullock foul, and
Yeah.
D Rose was like, looking at him like, bro, just play, not try to hurt someone or whatever, right? And I understood the point of view of Derrick Rose in that situation. So and it's not like he wasn't bought in the team and stuff like that. He just has another mentality, and he
Yeah.
can put himself in another situation in the shoes of that guy that got fouled. A player. He's way up and higher than any of these Knicks players. Not only skill set wise, but he was the MVP. He was at the top of the league back in the day, right? And I think he really accepts his role as as a second, third, whatever option, as a guy off the bench. He really understands that role, and he's not going to be his ego is not going to be taking over. So I'm happy we had a guy like D Rose, and I would love D Rose to be back for the early birds contract situation that the Knicks have, which is after we fill out the use up the salary cap situation, we can go over the cap to give D Rose a 10.7 million in the first year contract. So
How's the cap hold with that though?
there's no cap hold at
No
this
cap hold.
point.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
on this point, no. But if he wants more, we gotta sign him before we use the cap, right? So we won't be able to go those two max free agents or whatever. So that's why I think that cryptic message that he sent after the last game, they probably already told him, listen, D Rose, we would love to have you back. We have the 10.7 million. That's the maximum we can give after we fill out the roster with the salary cap, use up the salary cap, and then we can give you the 10.7 million. Now the question is D Rose, thinking, listen, I'm cool with 10.7 million. But if someone throws at him like an 18 million contract, he's like, that's way more, and I gotta take it, right? And then the Knicks are going to be screwed because they're not going to have a guy like D Rose, and they won't be able to go for a guy around 10 million contracts above the salary cap.
Right.
So I hope they make it work. And D Rose is just like he has a signed contract from the Knicks on his table, and after they fill out the roster, he just puts his stamp on it. And and that's how I think it probably is working at this point.
Yeah, I get you. But you was talking about that incident with the foul and stuff like that. How Derrick Rose trying to get him pull him to the side. There was another time too where they were like kind of just like yelling and screaming. Everybody was going crazy. Rose happened to be on the bench at the time, and Rose was on the bench like this.
Yeah.
Like look at these fucking guys. You know what I'm saying? They just don't get it. So that could be something dangerous too. He might be thinking like, listen, if there's a way, if there's another team like you mentioned to give a little bit of money, that he'll be out of here, or it quite possibly. It could be a little bit higher on that totem pole as far as his preferred destination too.
Yeah, I mean, I think and I think Sim mentioned it a couple of times, that he's really in need of security of his family and knowing the people around the organization. And
Yeah.
like he has Tibbs and Taj here. I think that's really cool for him. And he's close to Chicago, right? Where he's from.
Right.
So, I think we have a way bigger advantage than most of the Knicks, at least most of the NBA fans think. I don't think they take this into consideration. But I think Derrick Rose is real, and we saw it firsthand when he was with the first stint, right? He just hopped on a plane and flew home
He was out. Yeah.
without telling even his best friend Joakim no at that point, right?
Yeah.
So listen, that was crazy for me, and I was like, listen, I know he's a pro. I just didn't think he was that emotional and sensitive at that point. Now we know what we are working with, and I think listen, if he has to do it, cool. We got to think about it, that it might happen, But I think, him having Thibs here is a totally different thing than, whoever was the coach back then.
Right.
So
yeah, that's crazy, man. People forget all about that happened. They talk about how great Derrick Rose is as having him here as a whatever good things they talk about, but they always forget about the bad stuff. That his first tenure wasn't all roses. It wasn't just like the fans not appreciating him. He had a big part in that as well. Same thing with Melo too. People forget about the whole thing where he slapped Marty Collins and got suspended for half the year. People forget about that, but they keep talking about put Melo's number in the rafters, man. But forget that whole thing that happened with Denver. It's a little bugged out.
Yeah, and I think with Melo, it was he had that superstar mentality. Even you could call it probably ego going around. So it was even a little bit more egocentric, you can say, right? Meanwhile, D Rose, he doesn't want to be the main guy. I bet you if you would ask him if he wants to do an interview, a post-game interview after each game, he was like, nah, just take any other guy. I don't need that. I don't need to talk to reporters. Just let's put out there whoever. I can, just go back to practice, whatever. I bet you he's such a cool dude like that. He doesn't need any, stardom around him. He would be, I bet you he's walking around when he's living in New York. I bet you he's going to those bodegas on the corner, just undercover, basically.
Yeah, I believe it, man. Yeah, I probably wouldn't even recognize him if he walked past me anyway, man. He looks crazy. He got like a crazy look to him.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose, But I wanted to mention Mike Conley because you're talking about coolness and stuff. Mike Conley is like extremely cool, and also his personality. Derrick Rose is into his family and all this. But Mike Conley, there's a story with him is that his lady cheated on him and got pregnant by some other dude, and then he knew that happened or whatever, and he just accepted the kid as his own. You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of personality he is. He's just like, something that extreme can happen. But he could look at the bright side and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's great character, in one way. But in another way, it's just like, do we want this kind of guy to be like the leader of our franchise, to lead us into that next, part where we're trying to get to? I'm not sure if that's the guy,
Yeah, I just throw down his name because I think he's I don't think you can put Rondo around that as the vet point guard. I don't think Rondo can be a starter anymore. Off the bench, cool, but I don't think he has still started minutes on his body. So I think that the only other one was of course from free agents, right? Because we could talk about Lowry, and I think that's also a dude that I would take, and I think Julius. Even looking at Lowry, he was a couple of times an All-Star, and he has a ring. So I think that's a guy that Julius would be, listen, I'm cool with this dude being my point guard, and I'm gonna, respect whatever he wants, wherever, he's gonna be that alpha guy above him. And I'm not talking about scoring wise. I'm talking about leadership on the team, on the court. I think Julius would be that, that under him, and he would be comfortable with it. I don't think he's gonna be comfortable with, even rookie. I don't think if he would be comfortable even if we got a guy like Cade Cunningham. I think K would just roll in, try to do his stuff, and Julius be like, nah, bro, I'm going to take this shot. I'm going to do this and that because and that would be. Well, I hope it never going to happen. That Julius' ego is going to take over because he looks like a really family guy, but also our teammate first.
Yeah.
Then again, you never know if you tease the lion, a couple of times too much, it might turn around on you and bite you.
Yeah, he's shown that plenty of times throughout the season. Just his anger, he gets mad, man, and there's nobody else on the court that's really there that's going to be able to control.
To stand up to him, right? Maybe like a guy like Taj, but he's at the end of the bench. He's not on the court with him mostly, so it's not like he's somebody's going to cool him off.
Yeah, so I think that's what's missing from the conversation with the whole point guard thing. It's just that that leadership. We just need. It's not necessarily from the point guard because RJ is developing in that. We already have a lot of instances where people were saying that RJ was putting Randle in his place. They had their arguments off the court. Which is great. But we need that. We need more of that from other players. Derrick Rose is one. Maybe Bullock. These different guys, but we need more of these guys not just to have that one guy. That we need everybody to be alpha. To be that guy.
Yeah, and listen, it would be way easier if the max, let's call it the max free agent we sign, had those leadership qualities, right? And factors, because if we just throw money at a guy that like a Chris Middleton, bro, Chris Middleton would earn twice as money of Randle and still would be the second guy after Randle. I don't think he has any kind of higher role in the hierarchy of the team than Randle would have. So only a guy like a Kawhi, like a point guard with veteran experience has the chance to put Randle a little bit under him. Yeah. And I think that would be better for the team. Maybe not for Julius, but at least better for the team and from building the team from this point that we are at this point.
Well, we're gonna segue back to Frank, but I see guys put Frank Matos here. He mentioned SGA. Do you think we even have a shot at getting somebody like that? Because people keep throwing these guys out there, but how in the hell are we getting them?
So I think those are dream scenarios. Like, listen, I can build you a team from the players that I would love to have. Listen, the New York Dream Team, I could build a team like that, and I could make the salary cap, even work with those guys. But I don't think there's any chance OKC's, I think maybe it's like, if I'm a GM of the OKC City Thunder, I think there's like 2 to 5% chance that I even think and listen to a phone call asking about SGA. That's bro, I think he would lose his job if you would just trade him. That's the only lone standing star at that franchise, unless they want to move it back to Seattle or whatever other team. I don't see that happening.
But how do you get SGA without giving him RJ in quickly or something like that? Because SGA is already giving you 25 a game.
Yeah, but listen, if they would want to scrap it even deeper than they did, and they did an awesome job gathering all those 20 first rounders and 20 second rounders, bro. They I think they're going for the non-miss factor in the draft. They're just going to draft the top 10 guys, and listen, at least 2 of these guys going to pan out. So
right.
Yeah, so if they want to tear it even deeper, then they could trade SGA for like 4 picks from the first round. And I think the Knicks could have a chance to do that, because if we would trade these 19 and 20 pick, leave the next year's pick, because we got to have a first round pick every second year, and then trade again 2 picks in the 23 draft. I think they might consider it. They would have like 22 picks each year, so bro, they could fill out their G League team even. Get a chip there and bring all those 12 guys from the G League just to the NBA. So
yeah, I just don't get their strategy or what they're trying to do. See, that's the thing too, because so much emphasis is on this Knicks, man. I got the World Peace hat on today, but you got the Knicks hat. That's what we're doing here, talking about the Knicks. But that's all anybody talks about. Everybody always talks about the Knicks and don't talk about nobody else. OKC, what are they doing? What are they doing with all those draft picks? We got Detroit there. I don't know what Detroit's going to do. They're talking about trading that number 1 pick to get whatever. Like where's their mindset? Where are any of these teams' mindsets?
That would be crazy. I rather even watch at teams like the Orlando Magic, the Sacramento Kings. Those teams are such in a deep shithole that I don't think, bro. It's like to repair that situation, 5 years is not enough. 5 years of again top 10 picks and lottery all over again, and you still couldn't fix that kind of situation they are in.
Right. So I mean, like when Knicks fans say, "Oh man, we're 5 years away," I don't think the Knicks are that team. Orlando, like you mentioned, is Orlando's like 5 years away. Sacramento, they might be 5 years away. But I think we're a little bit closer to getting to where we need to go. But
yeah, the best example of this is the Hawks. Listen, we had that was the perfect example, and I remember the free agency show when they signed Bogdanovich, and I was like, oh damn, that one slipped from the Knicks, right? But they threw like 20 million a year for him, right?
Right.
Next player they signed Gallo, and I'm like, why are these guys doubling positions, right? Because this one is a forward, the Gallo is a forward, and they again threw like 17 or 18 million a year for Gallo. Then they signed again a guy like and they knew they got like Herter, they got Hunter, and those guys on the bench, so you could basically plug them in a starter position, and they could be cool. But throwing like 17 whatever million Gallo has as a bench player, I was like, those guys are crazy. But then again, look at the postseason. They had that shooting. They had those guys. That's why they got to the Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe it would be other situation if they would be playing Brooklyn, because Brooklyn might mollywop them. But
mollywop, I love it. Go.
Yeah, they got on the 76ers and they pounded the 76ers.
Yeah.
So I think and of course I'm attributing most of the thing to the coach, Nate McMillan. He did an awesome, terrific job. I bet you if they would do the coaching award, I think he would eat out Thibs easily after these playoffs. So he did a perfect job there. But I think also and they spent their money. They had the cap salary and they spent it. And we're only going to be able to judge that basically after next season if they did good, because it might have been a Hawks and a Hawks, I mean HOAX, that they did in this playoffs, and the next season might be terrible for them because Gallo can get injured and whatever.
Yeah.
But it might pan out for them, and it might be the third seed, the fourth seed next season as well. So we're gonna see about that.
Yeah, Hawks.
Yeah, Hawks.
I love it. But like you mentioned, a lot of guys, but Cam Reddish is still there. You got the other kid from Chicago that they picked up, the point guard.
Yeah,
those guys. Yeah. What's his name? Dunn.
Dunn. Yeah. Some Dunn. I think. Yeah.
Chris Dunn. I think something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like they had injuries and they were able to stick guys that actually could start in this NBA still too. And then also too, like in this offseason, they still have the potential to put a couple guys together and get a freaking Kawhi Leonard or somebody like that if they wanted to, because they have guys that are good in the NBA, so they can make those different moves, man. So it's interesting, man. That's something that Knicks fans are afraid to do. It's like, oh, we're too busy worried about taking minutes from Knox and not putting Knox in the right situation to do it. They're not giving him a chance. And Frank Ntilikina saying like this is what the podcast is about. We're not giving Frank a chance. He's not in the right situation. But there's players in this NBA, man. We got $60 million. We could do the same thing Atlanta did. Open the checkbook up. Just get a couple guys, $20 million. We got 60, right? Just about 60, 55, depending on what people what draft site people use, whatever. But let's say we got 60 million. We could sign 3 quality guys for $20 million a piece. Next thing you know, we're the Atlanta Hawks. The talent level just got better. Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, this is a situation that the other kind of situation that you can build a team around. You can just sign guys to great bigger contracts around that 17-20 million dollar per year, and after a good season, look if someone needs those kind of guys. Listen, I bet you if the Golden State Warriors would want to trade, and the Golden State Warriors are actually a second team of that, they got max contracts for 3 or 4 players, and then just rotate the player. Listen, they're going to trade Wiggins this offseason. They did it with D'Lo. They did it with Durant. And they were over the checkbook like several times, right? And they just find a way to flip these guys each season and look which one is get them a chip, right? So listen, and I still think that they're in a situation they can just trade Wiggins and still get a guy like a Bogdanovich and a Gallinari, or a Bogdanovich and a John Collins, because maybe the Hawks are not going to be able to resign him. So listen, if they flip a guy in Wiggins that for me, isn't a perfect fit with them. But they get a guy like John Collins and Bogdanovich. In the next 2 years, they can let Steph Curry, maybe not walk, but give him a lesser contract and let those guys, learn from that experience playing with him and be the guys that can hold the fort down for the next couple of seasons. So if you're over that salary cap book and the threshold, whatever you want to call it, you can still make moves that are going to benefit your team. And if you have a willing owner like James Dolan that's not afraid to pay those tax no for the salary cap, those hits and whatever, it's still a route that we can pick.
Yeah. And scared money don't make the money. Greg Castillo, shout out to Greg Castillo. He said that if you get the wrong guys, you'll be in cap hell. But
And I agree. But look at the Hawks. I was saying that Bogdanovich I was cool with, and I would throw 20 million at him as well. But Gallo for like 18, whatever he's making, I think it's almost 20. So listen, I was saying that that contract is awful, but if he just fits that team, maybe if they're going to trade him, he's not going to be that kind of a player, or he's not going to even get minutes. The chemistry is not going to be there. But seems like that was a good move.
Yeah. Well, we got Mr. Tony Crow here, man. Shout out to Tony. What's up, Tony?
What up, bro?
What up, Andy? What up, Eru?
Chilling, man. We started off talking about Frank, but then we started getting into point guards and just roster building and stuff like that. Well, how much have you heard so far?
I didn't hear any of the Frank talk. I actually just woke up. I've been a little under the weather. But I did hear the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander talk, and I had to jump in because I've been planning to do a little video on that particular topic. So shout out to you guys for coming up with that. I also want to shout out CK2K because I seen he mentioned it the other day. So I was a little upset because I'm like, damn, I should have just did it when I thought of it. But I really think that's an option, considering that they they love draft picks and we have some. I don't think we would have to give up much. There already been talks about them trying to move up and maybe getting that first pick. And if they didn't have to include him in that, I think that would be a prime opportunity for us to step in and try to make a move. I like that kid. He's young. I think he fits the timeline. He's already a proven scorer. I think he learned a lot from his year with Chris Paul. So I think sky's the limit for him in particular. So I wouldn't mind making a move that way.
Well, just to talk about SGA, like you're looking at it from OKC's perspective, man. So OKC probably thinks the same way as you do, or feels the same way that you feel about the kid. So why would they give him to the Knicks? If they have still they got capital to be able to move up into the draft without making that trade. So when it might be actually a better idea for them to try to get a Cade or somebody to play with SGA to keep it on their timeline.
No, I feel you. I just feel like. I think it's only a matter of time where he's not going to want to be there. He's already had success. You know what I mean? And then in his first stint of success, it kind of was used against him. Like, oh man, we didn't think he was going to be that good. Let's trade him and use him to get Paul George. You know what I mean? And now it's in a total rebuilding situation. And it's only looking like more and more of a rebuild. So, I mean, for him personally, I think it's just a better circumstance for him. Instead of constantly starting all over. You know what I mean? So I think he might have to say something. He might have to speak out. And then even with OKC, yeah, he does fit a timeline, but they got to look at it realistically. Like, it's almost like punishing the kid. You know what I mean? like if you're gonna rebuild, you might as well rebuild from scratch and work your way up. And I mean, I just think because they like draft picks so much, I think we in a position where we might be able to, sway them.
Yeah, it's all possible. They might try to, do the Knicks a favor also. But without all of that, man, it's OKC. Ain't nothing out there but cows and fucking like dust and that's it. There's nothing out there to do at all, man. So I don't think anybody would want to be out there. I kind of hope they go back to Seattle.
I'm almost of the thinking like they have to keep acquiring these draft picks and doing something of that sort because guys aren't going to want to be there long term, and the best way to get guys for 4 years is drafting them. You know what I mean? Like after that, and then maybe they get lucky again and build something better than they did the last time. You know what I mean? You think about the guys they had. It's been talked about, numerous times. But you had MVPs on the same roster at the same time with the same timeline. Like, so they know they can do it again. But it's going to be tough, man. I think they're in a tough spot no matter what. Their best bet is trying to find lightning in the bottle twice. And what better way to do that than keep acquiring these draft picks and maybe bringing in 3 guys in the same class 1 year, 2 the next. You know what I mean? And then, I mean, it's gonna take probably 4 or 5 years to get there, but they did it once.
Yeah. So that in lies their thing that nobody wants to sign them. So I get it. They're gonna want to have draft classes. Hopefully that these classes start doing something. And they just keep making that rotation. Going, what a freaking terrible place to be as a fan, right? God damn it! They talk about the Knicks fans, how we're the most miserable fans. OKC and Seattle fans, they gotta want to they gotta be on suicide watch or whatever, man. Jesus.
I mean, at this point, their fans might as well just focus on college basketball because that's what they're gonna be watching, in the foreseeable future. So, I mean, they got that to look forward to. They know what they're getting. They're getting these young guys. They got to start looking at the high school players, the freshmen and all that, and then prepare that way. But
yeah, and listen, I bet you when the Thunder fans look at the schedule, they're like, oh, here's the LA game. Here's the whatever nice team that's coming into town. It's not like we're gonna watch the Thunder try to get this win, that win. Nah, they're just looking at the high profile teams. Okay, the Nets are gonna be in town. I gotta go to that game.
Yeah, they trying to feed their cows over there, man. The Angus beef and stuff. They trying to get grass fed stuff out there. I don't know what the hell, man. What the hell is they to do in OKC, man?
Who did they get in the trade with Boston? Kemba, right?
Kemba, yeah. And he's on the move. I bet you they're not going to keep him.
That's what I mean. That's another one. What are they going to get back for Kemba right now? More draft picks, mostly. You know what I mean? More guys on rookie contracts. Like it's in the stars for them to probably be the youngest team in the league for the next 10 years. Seriously.
They have to make an award for them, a special award, just like this one. When I won the NBK Fantasy Championship, I just got that right there. Since I got 2 guys on the show, this is my trophy that I made myself, to let everyone know that I won the NBK Fantasy Basketball Championship for 2021. Just wanted to throw that out there. Perfect segue there.
Nicely done.
Yeah, man. So, just to throw back to the Frank situation, man. Like, what's your thoughts on Frank, man? We already played the video of Frank. We were talking about just his just fit overseas and fit here. We talked about the we didn't really talk too much about gameplay, but just give us like your thoughts about what's going on with Frank, his situation.
I mean, I'm still rooting for the kid. I still think he's probably best suited off ball at this point. I'll be honest, I haven't really watched him play for France this year. So I mean, I got some questions. Maybe you guys could fill me in. He's still playing point guard there, yes?
Yeah, off the bench at this point.
Okay. I mean, I still like the kid. I think I know what his strengths are. I know what his weaknesses are, and I'm not really concerned about his weaknesses because it's really about assertiveness, in my opinion,
Yeah,
aggression. Like those are the things that he has to work on. His overall game, as slowly as it is, it's improving. His shot has improved. His aggression has improved. Um, we've always talked about his defense. That's still been steady. So I mean, I like the kid, and I'm rooting for him. But ultimately, I know. Don't hate me, Andy. I think he's trade bait. You know what I mean? At this particular point, he's something to throw in a trade. Um, because I don't know where his long term future is with us.
yeah. You got something to add to that, Andy? Since she called you out a little
No,
bit.
listen, I just one day I'm like, listen, I would love for Frank to be a Nick, and another day I was like, screw it, let him go wherever, just not to the Nets, to the Lakers, even to the Celtics. He can go even to the Celtics for me and play versus the Knicks like 20 points game, 5 steals, 10 assists, whatever, just so I can come back and point out that we had that guy. But listen, it's for me, it's like I said, and Tony, just to point back to the because you didn't see, right? I was telling Iro because I was watching the game from minute one, right? He wasn't the starting point guard, and that's because I think that he didn't play major minutes in the season. So the coach is running with a point guard that basically was a starter in Europe, and that's why he's starting with that guy. Then again, the French national team coach also didn't start Rudy Gobert in one of those games versus Spain. So
Wow.
you might think that he's maybe looking for rotations and just playing guys. He knows that Gobert was in the playoffs. He was playing major minutes, so maybe he's a little bit resting those guys. But he was playing off the bench in the first game versus Spain. When Frank came into the game, the French national team went on a 13-2 run. So, and 13-2 in Europe in FIBA basketball is huge. It's like, a 20-4 run in the NBA. It's like, double almost the points, right? So, and what the box score and the highlights aren't going to show if you don't, peek at it really good, is that he wasn't afraid to take shots in huge moments when the game was tied, when they were down by 2, by 3. He was taking that 3-pointer. He made one. He might have missed one. He was trying to, poster dunk on Willie Hernan Gomez, former Nick. And he got fouled hard because, Willie knew that he's going for that poster. So listen, those are things that probably Frank might not do in the NBA, because for me it's still about the confidence and the comfort of Frank. And listen, at this point, Frank might be like, screw it, I'm just playing for my contract, I gotta do these things. On the other hand, it might be Frank really being comfortable with his teammates, that he knows that they got his back, whatever. Meanwhile, on the Knicks, I don't think if you can say that about Alfred Payton quickly or whatever, that they would support Frank whatever he did. There
Yeah,
was like, listen, he's
Yeah,
gonna be a little bit worse. I'm gonna take his minutes. So
I think that's one of the positives I think I've noticed about Frank, even with all his struggles throughout his tenure with the Knicks, or even especially this year. I think he's always held his head high. You know what I mean? He never seemed to be soaking on the bench. He's always been supportive of whomever is on the floor. Like these are things I love about Frank. And you know, if we're talking about keeping Frank, or obviously keeping a guy like Penson, no, of course I want Frank. He's shown more. He's even with his limited time. I was one of those guys that said the thing with Frank is every time he reaches that peak in his playing on the Knicks, he got injured, and then
yeah,
it was always a reset button, and he had to work his way back even into the rotation, and then work his way back once in the rotation into getting to where he peaked at before he got hurt. So it was just a constant cycle. So I'm not. I'm not giving up on the kid. I just feel like at this point, if we're gonna make a move, he's one of the guys I'd rather include than not. You know what I mean? Like obviously, if we talking about keeping RJ or I mean, right now it's him and Knox, man. I feel like those are the guys that I don't think anybody's gonna get mad about if they're included in any type of trade.
Yeah. And listen, Tony, if we are getting a better player in the Frank deal, no, I'm not going to be upset. I understand that you got to look the team first and you got to be looking, to improve it, right? So if we're trading Frank and we're getting a CP3 guy back, right? Or I don't know, a great young point guard that's going to be, I don't know, an SGA. I'm not going to be like, listen, screw the Knicks. I'm going with Frank, right? So I understand that. But then again, I realize that Frank is one of those guys that he's a perfect guy, even off the bench, for a championship squad. That he's going to be the glue guy. He's going to be the Draymond Green type of guy. That he's going to be on the team, always just looking to get all these, players better around for the team and putting the team in the first position. Not himself, just the team. But guys, I got a question, because this is really, what I was thinking about. What's going to happen with Luca Vildoza if he's going to have like a couple of bad games? Listen, his contract isn't guaranteed, right? So we can basically ditch him, after 10 games with the Knicks. My question is, are Knicks fans going to have that leeway? And how long is that, tryout period to win the hearts of the Knicks fans? Because, Luca Vildoza is 26. Frank is 22. Still has 4 years to get to the point of his career that Luca Vildoza is in. And I'm not asking, okay, let's keep Frank for the next 4 years so we can compare Luca Vildoza from this year to Frank from in 4 years, right? I'm just, asking it because I understand we saw Frank 4 years. Some fans are going to say, we saw everything Frank can offer us. I don't like it. Screw Frank, right? I understand that. I'm not mad at those fans anymore. I did my battles. I'm not going to be fighting with, but, I think that Luca Vildoza is going to have a really short leash with the Knicks fans. If he's not going to pan out first games and he's not going to be getting rotation minutes, I think Knicks fans are going to turn, over him till Christmas Day. He's going to be lost and put off the team if it was up to the Knicks fans.
Yeah, I got something to say to that, but I want to know if Tony wanted to add something to that.
I mean, I think rightfully so. I think Frank should have more of a leeway. Frank has more NBA experience, but I think Luca has more basketball experience. So at this point, he should be the better player, the more seasoned player. So I agree with you. Or to answer you, I think his leash may be shorter, or the fans may get less patient with him. But I think that's fair. I think, but as far as like getting him off the team, there's no reason to do that unless he's occupying a roster spot that can be used for, like you have somebody in place. But otherwise, like there's no reason to let a guy go because you don't like him because he hasn't produced yet. You let him go if he's occupying space that can be used for someone else, and you have that guy in mind already.
Yeah, but you think like Knicks fans are going to be like, okay, cool, this is his rookie season. He's adapting to the NBA. Let's give him a year or two. Or it's going to be like, listen, if he ain't good at Christmas, no, we don't need to see him on the court anymore.
I mean, we got smart fans and dumb fans. So the smart ones will realize, hey, this is his rookie season, or like I'm saying, there's no reason to cut a guy because he's not playing yet or he's not playing well yet. The crazy fans, they may want him going after one game with no points and 3 turnovers and say, oh, this guy's a bum. So we got crazy fans, but we also got a lot of smart ones. So
the thing with Luca Vildoza is that like the first time that we seen him play, after we signed him and stuff like that, he showed in those practice games or whatever, dribbling behind the back, pulling up from things that these are things that we can visually identify with, saying like, okay, this guy could play. So I think most fans are coming into this thinking that he could play. This guys on Twitter, crazy guys saying that they want him to start, based off of the stuff that they see. So I think guys are going to give him a chance, but if he doesn't show them what he's done in this little bit of time that they show him, that the Knicks fans are not going to give a fuck about him. But just to talk about Frank, man, Frank right now he doesn't have a contract right now, right? You know what I'm saying? So the thing with certain players that are not doing well in the league, they think they have that blanket at the end because they have a contract. So I have time, I still got, I'm young and this, that, and the other. Now we at a point now where you're on the outside looking in. So now when I'm looking at Frank play in France and stuff, he has a different bop to his step. All of a sudden he's extending to the basket. 2 finger rolls in that Spain game. Like, I've been begging for this guy to just basically just come up there and just drop it because guys can't guard him. It's not the simple fact that he doesn't have any moves or anything. As soon as he gets past the guy, all he got to do is put the ball like this, and you can't block it. He had a nice little finger roll, and then another one where he jumped off the wrong foot and did a nice little scoop shot off the backboard. Like, whoa, where the hell did that come from? You know what I'm saying? So my point with all this is that the bounce, the step back 3-pointers and stuff. These are things that he hasn't done in his career yet. Is it because that now that he's on the outside looking in, he doesn't have a contract? So now, listen, I want to get back into the NBA. So now the light is clicking in my head. Said, look, okay, I'm awake now. I could possibly be playing in France, making $2 million, or I can possibly get to the NBA and make close to 10, or depending on whoever wants to give him a contract like that. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that that right now Frank is in a spot that's dangerous to me because I like what I see in this FIBA stuff, but once we give him the contract and he comes back here, is he going to come back into that passive way, like, oh, I'm getting better, or is he going to like show that aggression that he shows when he's at home? Because that's what we need. We can't be on lollygagging, and we can't invest more money and more time in the guy just because he's 22. We're not going to wait till he's 26. We're going to sign him to a 4-year contract just with the hopes and prayers that he would get to that player that we want him to be. That's not really good basketball, I'm thinking, because every year somebody else comes in the league, and somebody else is going to come in and push somebody else back, or we can make a trade or sign somebody else, so there's plenty of elite players in this world, that we can invest time and space into rather than just a guy that may be good, like doing what he's showing now, or he might just go back to doing what he was doing before, the exhibition season started.
I have more faith in Frank right now than I have in Knox, and as you guys know, Knox was my guy. Knox was the guy that I wanted. Knox was the guy that I was talking about the potential. We've seen Frank show aggression. We've seen it progress throughout his 3-4 years with the Knicks. I'm still waiting on that from Knox. So I don't think we would have to worry about him us signing Frank and him still being lackadaisical, or like, because I already seen the improvement. You know what I mean? I've seen the growth. So I wouldn't be as concerned with Ntilikina that I am with a guy like Knox, that I'm still waiting to see the aggression from.
Yeah, that guy Knox, I think he might have peaked in that summer league, right? He like 21 points a game or something like that. That was the most aggressive that he's ever been in his whole entire career. Kevin Knox. He still hasn't gotten to that point. But like I said, Frank is in a special place right now. If like I said, the highlights for these 2 games were great, man. He's doing stuff that we've been begging him to do. And that's one thing too. I want to point out before we get lost or whatever. There's a lot of fans that are saying that the Knicks are holding him back from doing that. Or it's the Knicks not developing and this, that, and the other. At some point, you got to put it in the lap of the player. Maybe the player just doesn't have that drive and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm seeing stuff in Frank now that we've been begging for him to do. And we're in a place now that I just don't know what to do with him, actually.
Listen, Iru, just to point out to the exact topic that you said, if you watch the Frank highlights from FIBA from previous tournament, you're going to see basically the same things that he did this game. He had that finger roll in his repertoire. He had that 3-point shot. He had everything. We saw, that the step back three is something new. He has a little bit more swagger in his dribble. The ball handling is a little bit better. So you see that's why I saw it in FIBA, and I'm pretty confident that he is just playing. He's a system player, and if he's not used in a certain perfect way, he's not gonna show off, right? And if you want to plug in Frank into a system that he's not comfortable with, or between teammates that he's not comfortable with, you at least need to give him many minutes so that the team can find trust in him, so that the coach can find trust in him, because as you said, he's not a scorer, right? So it's not easy to give him minutes. But then again, for him to, for teammates to be like, listen, no, he's not scoring, but he can defend that dude and slow him down. But he needs minutes to show that. It's not like Thibs did. He put him in the last position on a guy and expected him to get us a W in that last position versus Trae Young. Bro, that's a thing that you don't do. But, why didn't he put him on Trae Young for at least, listen, we're down 3-1. I got nothing to lose. Let me just put Frank on him, and let's see if Frank can ride him through the whole game.
Yeah,
it might have been also, and it might have been even that might have been too late, right, to do it. But he didn't even try to do it. That's my, and this is my conspiracy theory, that the Knicks, brass knew that they want Frank, but if they're going to showcase him, he's going to have to get paid. So they just stuck him at the bench, and now they're just going to lowball him with the offer deals if he wants to stay with the Knicks, bro. And they're going to sign him for 12-year, $3 million, 12 million 3-year contract with a team option on every year. So they're going to hold him hostage, and then he's going to pan out, and then they're going to trade him.
Let me just say this, though. Because I agree that was an unfair or unfavorable position to put Frank in. But if he got the stop, what does that do? You know what I mean? He gets the stop. That changes the whole narrative. He gets that stop. Now he has to play going forward. He gets that stop. Now he has to. We got to put him on Trae Young for at least some type of extended period of time. So I as much of it as the same way it was unfair, you know what I mean? It also was an opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, granted, it was a tough job to do, but had he done it, had he get that one stop, right? Because this last possession, that changes the whole narrative and the whole series going forward. You know what I mean? So I look at it less as being unfair or unfavorable as it just being an opportunity. Because had he got the stop, he would have been forced to be played more going forward.
If he got the stop, man, we all would have to get Rosetta Stone because we're gonna have to do every podcast in French at that point. If he would have got that stop, you know what I'm saying?
Imagine if he got that stop in the next game, he had 3 minutes on the court.
Exactly my point. Exactly, bro. That's what I mean. That then it changes the whole narrative. You know what I mean? Then it's like, oh, how could you not use him? You know what I mean? So I don't even think that was a possibility. He gets that stop. He might have started going forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It would have been
like, yo, if Trey's on the floor, Frank has to be on the floor. Like that would have been the
and if they didn't, the MSG would have got cyber hacked or something. They would have did something. They would have been trying to destroy MSG at that point if Frank didn't start after that point, man. But I mean, we are here, man. So I mean, what I know you mentioned the 3-year, $12 million. What is it going to take to get Frank to keep him here? Because nothing.
At this point, he's a free agent. So if a team like Dallas, or San Antonio, whoever is going to throw money at Frank, listen, if he was supposed to get $8.5 million or around $9 million this year, and the Knicks are going to lowball him with a $2.5 million a year, and he's going to get $6 million from whatever other team, I don't think even Frank has that kind of, New York ties and love that he's not going to take the money. And even taking just into consideration that, listen, They didn't play me. They didn't give me the opportunity. He's gonna think like that.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, if these guys want to sign me for that kind of money that they weren't offering me, I gotta take the opportunity, even if it's a Sacramento, whatever, Orlando team. He's probably gonna jump. And I kind of understand him because if I was even amateur basketball, listen, if I'm on a team and the guys don't want me to play, if some other team is like, listen, you're not playing there, just come to us. You're gonna be having time on the court and stuff like that. I rather play.
Yeah. I've had that experience too, just playing in like I think Tony got an extra thing going on, man. That's you, Tony?
My bad. I had a call coming in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, what I was gonna say, I've been in tournaments where I played on one team. They'll put me in. I'll do something. They'll take me out and won't put me back in again. So it's like, man, fuck this. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go play with my guy on the other team because I happen to know somebody over there. If I go on the other team and I happen to play the team that I was on before, I'm gonna try to drop 50 on those guys. You know what I'm saying? That's just a natural thing with basketball. So I don't know, man. I kind of want to keep Frank here just for the simple fact of continuity. We got 4 years. He got 4 years here. This is our guy. We drafted him. But I'm just so like weary of paying him anything more than the veteran minimum. And his minimum, I believe, is like 2.5, like you said, or like go up to what we paid Alfred, just so everyone can feel good about themselves. We pay him $5 million, just like we pay Alfred, and then hopefully he stays, man. But I mean, like once it starts getting past that, I feel like I just don't feel like we could do that.
Yeah, I think he stays for less. Honestly, I do. I think because it's coming off his rookie contract. Like if this was going into his third contract rather than second, I think it would be less likely for us to retain him and at a smaller figure. But coming off his rookie contract where he's only played for us, even though think about it, he's the longest tenured Knick. Like how crazy is that?
And him resigning could be like first rookie that the Knicks will resign, from Charlie Ward. So listen,
yeah, they can get one of these at that point, right?
Yeah,
that in itself, I think, is an accomplishment for him. You know what I mean? Like for him to say, listen, I'm the longest tenured Knick. I'm the first Knick to be re-signed from the rookie contract. So Charlie, you know what I mean? Like these are things that I think are selling points. Like, yeah, we do want you. You know what I mean? We also trying to build for the future, and I think he would respect that. Now, if it's something astronomical where he is getting a 10-year or $10 million offer, peace.
Yeah, I see you, man. Get the league pass and catch you on the weekend, or something.
Yeah, but if the money's close, I think if the money's close,
yeah,
I think he'll take a little less to stay.
Yeah, if it's close, yeah, but if it's like double, triple, Frank has got to be like, listen, I can have French fries all over the United States.
I love you, man. Thank you for the French fry reference there. But also too, man, the Knicks got money and stuff, but we have to get starters first before we start. When are we gonna hook this guy up and get him a French boutique in Lower Manhattan? You know what I'm saying? Instead of setting him up, we got to get ourselves a starting point guard or small forward or a shooting guard, depending on which way we're gonna go. Even a center. We might even be in the market to get a center. So there's other things that we need to fix other than the position that Frank plays. Yeah.
True.
See, Tony just went into the freaking what do you call it? The multiverses now.
So somebody's trying to contact me. I'm trying to get my daughter to call her for me.
Okay, I got you, man. But
pardon me for a second.
No, I got you. But before we get to Frank, what do we need to do before we can have that conversation with Frank? Like, what needs to happen with the roster before we can start having that conversation?
Now listen, for me, as as the management, and it's not only about basketball transparency. They got a call Frank at the meeting that they had at the end of the season, probably and even now, like, listen, Frank, we're trying to get this guy here for this kind of money, we're going to have this kind of money left over. We are thinking about this guy, and this guy. If we get all of those guys, we're going to have X amount of money, and which we want you to have and be a piece of this kind of a team. And listen, Frank is going to look at that list and he's like, listen, this guy's in front of me. This guy is my position. This guy, you know, it's my secondary position guy. I'm not going to be still getting minutes. So it's, you know, they're going to kill my career here if you know, if that kind of situation, and I'm going to, you know, agree to it. He might be like, I'm going to bounce, guys. Sorry. You know, I don't see you as, you don't see me as a, you know, one of the main option rotation guys, whatever. So I got to move on. And he can be like that unless he doesn't have any kind of offers from the NBA. And he's like, listen, I got Osville, you know, from France. I got, you know, some kind of Zenit team from you know, Russia. I don't want to go there. So I'm going to, you know, I can take that kind of money and stick around for a year or two. You know, might be some situation like that. Listen, for me, it's, I think if they would offer him even less money, but for example, a 4-year deal, so he's safe to be in the NBA, even no matter if it's on the Knicks, if it's in the States for 4 years and showcasing himself on the NBA courts, I think that's more valuable than getting bigger money in Greece, Spain, France, Russia, whatever in Europe. Because, you know, of course, NBA teams have scouts, right? But that's not good. It's going to be way harder if you drop out of the NBA to get back in. Yeah. So staying in the NBA is way easier, you know, more comfortable for a player than bouncing to the state, to, you know, to Europe. And we had, you know, perfect examples. Look at Mario Hezonja. He plays in Panathinaikos. He's a superstar there. Look at Shane Larkin. He won the EuroLeague and you know, he was the most valuable player in one of those seasons. And those guys are not even thinking about going back to the NBA. And basically, they probably had contracts waiting for them. But, you know, those guys are like, listen, I'm too old to get back in the NBA and be playing bench minutes when I can be a superstar over here. Yeah. But Frank, he's only 22. So, and you know, that's a totally different situation.
I agree that not only that, but he's going to have to put up superstar numbers to make it back. Where he could, whether it's us or another team, he could put up 8 and 4 and 3 and still get another contract from another team in the NBA.
Yeah.
But you put up 8, 4 and 3 in the EuroLeague or whatever, nobody's rushing to bring you back over here. So you're going to have to put up those type of numbers, superstar numbers or star numbers overseas, just to even get considered to get brought back. So
yeah, you're gonna be like Frank. What's the guy? Frederick Weiss. Frederick Weiss got a bodega over there. You know what I'm saying? He went from being an NBA prospect and all this other stuff to working in bodega. Well, you know, I wasn't sure if you heard what I was saying to Andy about the whole Frank thing. Like, what would it take for like the Knicks as an organization, the franchise, to even come to a conversation with Frank? Because there's other things that we need to do before we start talking about role players. So, like at what point do we start talking about Frank? You know, staying here.
I think it's just what Andy said though. I think you could do it immediately, but you tell him what the plan is. We're going after this guy. We're trying to do this, that, and the third. We want you in the plans, but we got to take care of you after we secure this, that, and the third. And then, you know, then the ball's in his court.
Listen, Euro, you know, he ain't that dumb that they're going to say, listen, we're going to sign you for $3 million now and then go after Kawhi. He's like, oh, yeah, you're trying to do me like that? Nah.
So, I get you. I get you.
I got a question for you guys. And it's slightly changing the subject, but the draftee that played in the NBL, you familiar with that guy?
Who's that?
Coming to the draft this year. He played the same place LaMelo and
He's an Australian white
yeah,
guy.
Giddy.
Yeah, Giddy.
But
You guys,
but he's not drafted yet. He's not drafted
no,
yet.
no, I know he's coming into the draft.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. What are your thoughts on this guy? Because I haven't seen a lot, but what I've seen, I really, really like, and I got somewhat of a hot take on him. But what are your thoughts?
Listen, I'm not high on him. I know that he has great court vision. He looks like a really old school guy that doesn't have that maybe major NBA athleticism. He probably has the IQ for the game, but I'm not sure he can fit. He would do perfectly in a league in Spain for any team there. Creating passes and those kind of crazy stuff. But his defense is suspect, and that in the NBA is going to be highlighted on the scouting reports. Just go at him. And the point guard position, the easiest way to get you exposed, the point guard position. So I think he might be high on the ladders, the mock boards and whatever. I think he's not going to be that kind of, maybe in a couple of years, yeah. But I think he's going to be a disappointment at least this first couple of games.
Yeah, I agree with that too. There's a little difference in the NBA. You can get away with that loosey goosey stuff overseas, but you come to the NBA, the defense is a little bit different. The athleticism is a little bit different. So there's going to be a little curve with him, when he comes in here.
Yeah.
But I mean, the potential is there, definitely.
So when you say that, if he falls, you guys aren't interested, because he's not projected to be anywhere near 19 or 21. But
yeah.
So if
he's going to be higher probably.
If he falls though, does that change? I'm not talking about moving up for him. I'm saying if he fell at 19 or 21, you would not be interested.
You can go ahead, Andy. You got a thought about it?
I think I would pass on him. I think I would pass on him. He's not that kind of a gem that I think you could. And even thinking about the Knicks fan base and stuff like that, I don't think we have patience for guys to develop in a couple of years.
Yeah, not at 19 either, man. I think at 19, if anybody falls, it has to be somebody that's that has multiple years in college. I don't have the draft board up, and I got a bad memory, but there's a couple guys that have like 2-3 years experience in college that are decent players. I think that's what we should look at 19 and 21 if we're gonna hold on to any of those draft picks, because we kind of need guys that have experience that are gonna come in and be able to contribute right away, especially if we possibly could be involved in a lot of free agency deals. We're definitely gonna need to cheat and try to get somebody with a little bit more experience, right off the bat, if we happen to hold on to any of these picks in the first round.
I really like the guy. I think, and a lot of this is based off of not necessarily LaMelo and RJ, but what they were saying about that league being tougher than college, than the college game. Playing against grown men. So that's what I'm looking at, and that's why I'm kind of high on him and his assist numbers, knowing that they can't dribble the ball for it to be an assist and things of that nature that are different in the NBA. I think that's going to translate no matter what. I wouldn't necessarily put him at the point guard. I would probably put him at the 2 or 3, most likely the 3, and maybe slide RJ to the 2. The defense, I think defense is more about effort than anything else. So I think, it's not necessarily a red flag for me. And I think he has the size to potentially guard 2s and 3s. I wouldn't want him guarding 1s. I agree with that 100%. I think that's where footwork and things, it's not about effort. You know what I mean? You're going to get beat every time. Yeah, I'm pretty high on the kid. He's relatively young too, isn't he? Yeah. One of the youngest guys in the draft. So that's
probably 18.
Yeah. So that in itself, I love that as well.
Yeah, 18.8.
Yeah.
But you got that's why I really wanted your input, Andy. So you throwing me for a loop saying you wouldn't grab him at 19 or 21 if he fell. So I'm gonna have to go take a deep dive and look into this kid a little bit more because I don't know that playmaking, man. I think that translates regardless of what. He averaged like 7 assists, right?
8.
Yeah, 8
8
even.
assists.
Yeah.
That if they playing with NBA rules, you gotta throw at least
it's gonna be 12,
at least 4
12
more on there,
all
right?
over.
He's gonna be the greatest basketball player to ever play the game if it translates like that, you know.
And then I'm looking at now again. I'm not comparing him to LaMelo, but I'm looking at the red flags or the things that people said about LaMelo last year, coming before seeing him play, and the somewhat of a seamless transition. The only thing I am concerned about is I think for him to be successful, he's going to need some freedom. But I don't know if it's going to be the same type of freedom LaMelo had, but he's going to need some freedom. You're going to have to allow him to make some mistakes. But yeah, that playmaking, man. I think that's one of the biggest things we need on a team: playmaking and shooting. And I think that would have been a big difference in our playoffs.
Tony, we might need freedom for more than only Giddy, but freedom with Tibbs on the bench.
Yeah, big time. I was gonna say that too. Tibbs is not gonna give him the shot. Like if he got drafted by the Knicks, I think it would stunt his growth. Stunt his projection for his career in the beginning. Because I don't think Tom Thibodeau's gonna give him any run. Especially not at first. We'll see. Like we talk now, but once the lights come on, the guys start playing, then you really know what's happening with certain guys. But just like the odds, the odds.
I think you would even fit better on the bench because now that puts as almost like a point forward type role, because now you can let Quickly and Obi and I mean even D Rose doesn't have to. D Rose can focus on scoring. Quickly can focus on scoring. Obi has some guy to find him as an outlet guy and a rim runner and things of that nature. So I think ideally he would be the starting point forward, almost like a Randle role, but without the scoring. You know what I mean? But facilitating the offense off the bench.
He's got to convince that big guy though. He got to convince Tibbs for that. That's a tall task.
Yeah, and Tony, if we started the topic about prospects. No, I'm not. I didn't even dig into the the NCAA guys, but I'm gonna have a segment with Sim tomorrow about the top 3 European prospects. Mm-hmm. And I'm we slipped with the episode a little bit because I was gonna do like an honorable mention about the guy, about the Vrenz Blagenberg dude, that the Knicks, I was thinking about that guy, and basically the next day the Knicks are interviewing him in New York, and I was like, Sam, we messed up this really bad. So listen, and that dude, if you watch his highlights, it looks like he throws more alley-oop passes than takes shots even. He's such a playmaker, and he's like 6'10", moves like KP. Bro, he looks awesome, but on the mock draft boards, he's late second rounder. So
I don't know. I think he might go a little bit higher, man. That kid is.
Man.
Iru, his agent is gonna have a great paycheck only because he had an interview with the Knicks. Now every team is gonna look at him.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like, because we've been very strategic, not letting things come out. So when it came out, I was kind of like puzzled by it, especially knowing that he's a projected second rounder. But maybe because we have the first pick in the second round, second pick in the second round.
The third, the second pick, and almost the last one, the 58th pick. Maybe they were looking for him at that at that pick. And now Tony, I think the Knicks brass didn't slip it. I think it was him tweeting all around New York, and you don't need to tell Knicks fans twice about it. Listen, we're gonna blow it out of proportion already. So
yeah, I think he made a post too. His Instagram followers kind of jumped too, man. So I mean, it's no secret with that kid again. Say his name again, man.
It's Vrenz Blagenberg.
Woo!
That's right.
Belgian.
Right?
So,
yeah, he speaks English pretty good too, man. I guess he's from Belgium. That's why.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, but tomorrow I'm going to be talking about that Turkish center. He's like he's a nice prospect. He's mentioned around the 10th pick. About that Spanish kid Usman Garuba. He's a blue collar guy, and I think he's going to be an early second round pick, a Croatian kid, Roko Prajak. Bro, I even try to break my tongue on him.
I love it, man. I'm watching
or whatever. So, but that kid, he's a second generational and player because his father was a pro player. He looks like he got the IQ of basketball beaten into him like since he was a toddler. He looks like a born player, and he is looking, bro. If you saw his highlights, he's looking for so much contact on his drives and cuts to the basket. If I bet you, if I was the opposite coach, my scouting report would be on him like, just move out of the way. He's gonna fall himself. If he doesn't feel that bump, he's gonna trip, bro. So, but he's also a young prospect, and they're all 18 years old basically. If on the draft day, they're gonna still be 18. But that center Şengün, bro, he might be the next kind of, maybe not Jokic as an MVP player, but Sabonis or Vucevic at least. He's going to be that awesome.
I just like those freaky names, man. I want to learn how to say some of those things, man.
I'm giving them nicknames immediately.
Well, I need to learn it, man, because I could trick my wife into saying, maybe I'm saying something sexy like, Vucevic, like, ooh, baby, So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying anything here. Yeah, man. So, anything else to add to this whole international Frank extravaganza?
Let's hope when he crosses the court with Team USA. I hope the US team is gonna win, but Frank is gonna have a huge game because I don't think I can see another slip up like they had with Nigeria. That was so bad.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't believe it. Actually, I actually saw the game straight through. It was just like, they have like a feel of like that team the first time when Frank Ntilikina held down Kemba Walker and all that, and they didn't win the world tournament. I get the same vibes from these guys. We don't have the right big men. We don't have the right scorers around. It just seems like a ragtag bunch. I just don't have any confidence in this group.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, man.
Are there any games today?
That I'm not sure.
I think Argentina is playing today, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Because we all were trying to find the box score for the French games. So where the hell do you get these box scores from?
No, I think they're only made up from fans that watch the game, because the one game was in Spain, and then both teams flew back to Paris to play the second game, and the both national teams, men and women, were playing. So the first day, the women were playing first, the men second, and then the other way around. When they came to Paris, the men were playing first and the women second, or whatever. So that was like probably scheduled to be like that way before because of the COVID situation and stuff. But I think Argentina is playing in Vegas, right? With those teams, with Team USA and the rest of the crew. They had like a mini bubble there, and they're playing several games to prepare for the Olympics. So.
Yeah, but we need those box scores, man. That's like the holy grail for us guys, man. We're gonna be studying them things left and right, so we kind of need that, especially for these shows, just to put the different stats and stuff up, so we can chop those up too,
Yeah, I'm telling you, Frank Agent is debugging the whole Twitter world. So So if he has a bad game, you're not gonna see the percentages.
Yeah, that's the conspiracy theories out there, man.
Right.
Andy already said he's gonna do something with Sim. What time are you guys gonna do that at?
I'm not sure about the time. Probably around 3, 4. We're gonna do it. It's not gonna be long because I didn't go deep into these guys like watching them through the whole season. I got my kind of notes. I watch like at least 3 games live or from these guys from the kid from Spain from Real Madrid, Usman Garuba. I saw maybe 6 or 7 games, but he was also playing spot minutes at the beginning of the season. Later to the season, he was playing a little bit more. So, I got a little bit more to say about him, but, he probably is the least talented from those guys, the whole pack that I'm going to talk about. But, he's going to be projected around the Knicks 19th pick, maybe even. He's like 15, 17, 19, if he slips a little bit. But I don't think he's a player that the Knicks are going to be looking. He's like that, very scrappy blue-collar player. So I don't think that's a fit for the Knicks at this situation.
All right, cool. So you're definitely going to go tomorrow, right? With
yeah,
about 3:30ish.
Yeah. I think Sim is going to definitely put out, after probably today's show with Steph, because that's going to be in like 1.5 hours. Probably they're going to start.
Okay.
So I think there's probably Sim after that show. He's gonna, plug the next show for tomorrow.
All right, guys. So look out for that. You can see at the bottom, Andy MBK fam. So we got Tony Crow here too, man. What you got on the plate, man?
Look out for me Wednesday, man. I'm hoping I feel better. I feel a little better now talking to you guys. I was feeling like crap earlier, but I don't think I'm gonna force it. I'm gonna wait till Wednesday. So yeah, Knicks and Bruises Wednesday.
Yeah, man. You got to just throw them out there, man. Just drop it. Just whip it out, man. Whip it out and let it swing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The whole Knicks community, man. Everybody's always gonna support, the crew, man. You know what I'm saying? So just put it out there, and guys will follow. And if you need somebody to bounce off of, just throw it in the chat, and see who's available.
I definitely will. If anybody hasn't got their tickets for the draft party in Atlantic City, definitely get your tickets, man. It's gonna be a great experience. A bunch of podcasts is meeting up. We're gonna do some joint content. Got some giveaways. It's gonna be fun, man. It's the first annual. So yeah, please check us out. Stop by if you're close to Atlantic City. Pop up. It's gonna be a blast, and this is the first of many.
Yeah, the first of many that me and Andy are gonna miss. because he's over there across the pond, and I'm gonna be down in Disney World, chasing Mickey around, with my kids and stuff. Yeah, but I think
we'll represent for you, man. You know for sure.
Yeah, and if Sim just he's gonna have the capability to bring on the Zoom chat. I'm a draft day dude. I'm gonna be spoiling all the the news from Shams and Voj. So
yeah,
I'm gonna be there definitely.
I'm gonna be in Florida, man. So if the Knicks make a big trade, man, I'm gonna be butt naked standing in front of that Miami Center,
the Magic Castle, the Magic Castle.
balls out, man, with my fucking Knicks shorts right around my ankles. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, man, we got Josh here too. I just want to shout out to Josh. We got to get Josh on the show too, man. I haven't talked to Josh by himself in a long time, man. We got to make that happen. But anyway, man, thanks everybody for tuning in. We a lot of basketball talk, man. I freaking love it, man. I love talking to Andy. Love talking to Tony, man. We really get some good basketball talking, man. I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you, man. You like I said, man. I wasn't feeling well at all, and I feel 10 times better. Just mustering up the energy to jump on. So hopefully this is a trend in the right direction for me.
Yeah, you're feeling like a champion, right? Like a fantasy sports champion, MBK 2021. I don't know if anybody can see that there. But just gotta
next season we gotta start a keepers league, so the draft is gonna be an important part of this. So
okay, but whatever will make you feel better about winning next year, man.
I need redemption, bro. I need redemption.
Okay, guys. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with me, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the chat. The chat's kind of hot today, man. They love seeing Andy. It's those eyes, I think.
Yeah, the blue eyes, right?
The twinkle.
Andy Blue Eyes.
Yeah, and it might be the Frank poster in the back too, probably.
Yeah.
And I know your overseas views is probably jumping out the roof right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
And these DMs are probably filthy on Twitter right now. Disgusting. Watch out, man. You know your wife is watching, so you gotta be careful. All right, guys.
I'm not even gonna say a word.
All right, man.
I
was waiting for it, man. I was waiting for it. All right, peace, guys.